Hey guys, this is James, and this is in response to a comment left on one of my other videos by Stig B. Sievertson. It says, nice vid, thank you. Could you please make a separate vid regarding the bed leveling on a CR10S PRO V1 and BLTOUCH Smart V3.1? I didn't really understand how you did that. So first, I'd like to thank you for leaving the comment. I appreciate it. And I guess I'm not doing a very good job in explaining a lot of things. Yeah, so for this video, I'm going to pretty much try to keep everything in real time instead of fast forwarding a lot of the process, a lot of the steps. And so let's get started. See, the length of the BLTOUCH, according to the nozzle, is not the same. There is a height difference. There's a little bit of plastic right there I need to take out so you can tell more easily. Where is the little bit of plastic? Okay. So as you can tell, the nozzle is over here and the BLTOUCH is over here, the sensor. So there is a difference between the height of the nozzle and the height of the BLTOUCH. Also, there is a difference in the X value according to the stop right here, the 0 point. So the X and Y value, there is a difference depending on the mount. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to release all the knobs to where it's very loose. As you can tell, the bed is actually going higher, and I'm going to do that for all four sides. So I'm starting everything from scratch. I am releasing all the pressure from the bed and the knob, the spring, the compression springs. Oops, a little too much. There's practically no compression on the spring as I loosened everything up, and I did this for all four sides of the bed. And then let me just raise this up. I'm just going to raise this up. If you're beginning and new to this 3D printing, I kind of want you to do this. Loosen all the knobs. And as you can see, if you look, when everything is all loosened and there's no compression on the springs itself, if you put a little bit of pressure on the bed, you can tell that there's a lot of vibration. You see, there is a lot of vibration. And then if it's too loose, this knob or this wheel is actually going to loosen over time as you do a lot of printing. So that's something to keep in mind. Some people have said that you want to tighten this all the way to where there's complete compression, and that opinion actually differs between person to person. I personally think that if you're printing a lot of smaller volume build, it really doesn't make too much of a difference to compress the springs. But if you're doing mainly larger volume builds, you really need to compress those springs much tighter. The reason is because in the initial first layers, it won't make a difference. But as the volume of layers build up, the model actually gets heavier. And when it gets heavier, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the bed. And as you can see, just by putting a slight amount of pressure, the bed actually lowers and there is vibration. So this is the reason why, if you plan on doing a lot of larger volume builds, you want to put the compression springs at a tighter compression. This varies by individual of what type of models they will be building. What I'm going to do, since there is a lot of movement, as you can see even the knobs are moving, I am going to actually tighten the knobs on this side. I have to do it for all 4 sides. Now let me turn the printer off, and then let me try to put this compression, or the tightness of the knob, has to be on all 4 sides in relative equal distance. Because if this point is actually too low and this point is actually too high, when you move the head, you're going to be scratching the surface or digging into the bed, because this area is too low and this area is going to be too high. But as long as they're in relative same or relative height distances, then there's a less of a chance that you're going to be digging into the bed itself when you're doing the leveling. So what I'm going to do is actually compress the springs by tightening the knob and the bed. And then I'm going to do that for all 4 sides in about a relatively similar spring compression, or the similar tightness on all 4 sides. And again, the tightness actually varies depending on what type of model. Bigger volume models that you do, if you plan on doing that, the compression has to be tighter. So again, right now I'm tightening all 4 sides. And right now I tighten all 3 sides right here. 1, 2, 3. This side of the bed is actually much higher. And again, I am going to compress the springs and tighten the knob. Now that I compressed all the 4 sides of the bed, I am going to turn on the printer. I am going to go to the leveling option. As you can see, mine's already has the numbers because I already previously did the auto bed leveling. Hold on, let me just try to clear it out. Let me go back. So I kind of reset all the auto bed leveling numbers. So it's kind of like starting from scratch. You see there is a gap between the nozzle and the bed itself. And this is a 0.2 millimeter gap. You can actually use a piece of paper if you need to. I am going to push this negative Z value on the home, on the auto leveling, and then start lowering the Z offset a little bit. so the nozzle comes down closer to the bed. There it goes. I feel a slight resistance from the nozzle to the feeler gauge, so that's good. Once that's set, I am going to go back to the auxiliary leveling, AUX leveling, push that, and then I am going to push number 2. My bed actually has a little bit of a bow that I know about. That's why I can't get this feeler gauge in between the nozzle and the bed, because it is there is actually no gap on the bed to the nozzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the knob or the compression spring. It is actually going to compress the spring, and it is actually going to bring the bed down lower. And then that's what I'm doing right now. And then once I feel that it is in the correct alignment or correct height, then I can go to number 4. And although these numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, the way you want to move is in a cross pattern. When you have to tighten certain components, they always want you to go, if you have like 4 sides, it's going to be like in a cross pattern. If you have like 5 points, you have like a star pattern, and that's the case. That's why I'm saying go for 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can start from anywhere, here, but it's always going to be like in a cross pattern. That's the recommendation. And from what I can tell right now, this area is a little too high, so I am going to use a knob, and then I'm going to actually increase the height of the bed by turning the knob. And then again, I'm going to use the feeler gauge to kind of gauge where I'm at. Again, that has a good amount of tension between the nozzle and the bed, and I'm going to go to number 5, which is this corner right here. So I'm just repeating the same process between all the 4 different corners. And again, I can tell that this is the bed is too high in accordance to the nozzle, and that's why there is no gap. And then so I'm going to lower the bed slightly on this side, and that seems correct. And I'm going to go to number 3. And then this portion is again way too high. I'm not sure if you can get it by the camera. There is a very large gap between the nozzle and the bed. So I am going to again release the tightness and then the compression on the spring, and then just increase the height of the bed. And there we go. I got it into the correct tolerances. Normally what you want to do is do this twice, so you want to go in a cross pattern and fine tune it by repeating the process. For demonstration purposes and to save time, I'm just going to do it once. Basically, you're pretty much done. If you want, you can go to 1 and check. Normally you don't have to, because there's no way you're going to be able to adjust the bed number 1. But this is kind of like, you can press it just for reference. Mine has a slight bow. That's why the gap in the middle is actually slightly bigger. Normally what I like to do is lower the Z value or Z offset right here slightly, like that. Mechanically, you have adjusted the 4 corners and they're to correct tolerances. Then you can do the actual auto leveling. So it's going to take some time with the newer firmware. It's going to heat the bed, heat the extruder, because when there's heat, there's a little bit of expansion on the metal itself, and that's why it's best to heat the bed and then take the measuring points. And that's what's going to happen right now. So it's going to take a little bit of time for the bed to heat up. And as you can see by this indication, there is no offset value. The reason why you have these values are because between the different points, there's going to be a little bit of differences in height based on if you have a little deformation on the bed itself. Okay. So the BLTOUCH kind of came down right now, and then to its home position, and then it got the height distance, or the height. Now it's going to go to position 1 and get its height. So the bed height. So as you can see, it's starting to put in the numbers. This is in relation to the height of the Z home. So the very first height that it took. And those are going to be slightly different on each point of the bed. And of course, you're not going to be able to tell with the naked eye, but with the actual probe, it's going to be able to measure those very small differences that you're not going to be able to tell by yourself. So again, it's starting to write the values and put it in memory. And there you go, it's completed its 25-point probing. It's going to go back to home position. And there you go, it's complete. Oh, it's heating the extruder right now. I forgot this process takes a little bit of time. I actually don't think that this extruding the heat is necessary. Pretty much those small differences is not going to make too much of a difference as long as everything is relatively correct. But again, that depends on the type of print. If you're doing like a really fine, extra fine, super fine type of print, then it may make a slight difference. But if you're doing like a regular draft type of print, it's not going to make too much of a difference, at least in my experience. So again, you have the Z offset value. It says right here there is a slight gap. So I am going to actually lower the Z offset value until I feel a little bit of pressure. Oh, that's too much. And then that's it. You're done. You're basically done with the homing and auto leveling. So I'm going to turn off the printer, and then I'm going to turn it back on, see how it looks, and test everything again to see if it's correct. So again, I'm going to go to leveling. And as you can tell, it's correct. Everything looks fine. If everything looks fine, you don't have to adjust anything. If it doesn't look fine, you just want to, again, adjust the Z offset right here. And to me, everything looks fine, but I will go to the auxiliary leveling and then go to the different points and see if it's, again, just to make sure everything looks all right. And since I'm not really going to adjust it, I'm just going to make sure everything looks spot on. I'm just going to go around and take a look, which I can already tell that everything is correct. But again, for the video demonstration purposes, this is the only reason why I'm repeating the process. It could be slightly lower, especially on the type of bed that I have. This PEX system is very smooth and ultra smooth, and that's why I actually like lowering the Z offset value a little bit lower. If you think the plastic is not adhering to the bed too well, you can always lower it during the printing process. So I hope you guys were able to get something out of this video. Hopefully you were able to get the Z offset value using the BLTOUCH, using the auto bed leveling. And I think in my next video, I'm actually going to show you there is a slight X and Y offset value if you're using this type of mount that I designed. It's really small. It's like a 1mm offset difference. Probably is not really going to make too much of a difference if you're doing a regular draft type of print, but if you're doing maybe an extra fine, super fine type of print, it may make a little bit of difference. Or if you're a little bit more advanced and you want to go look into some of the code of the Marlin's firmware, yeah, I think I'll just do a little video on that for my next video, where you can get the Z offset value, not the Z offset value, but the X and Y offset value. So stay tuned for that if that interests you. So if you found this video helpful, go ahead and push the like button, go ahead and share the video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them if I can. Yeah, till next time, this is James. Thank you for watching.